Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. John here. Today I have a cool video called Fitness Meals for the Week, where I list all the meals that I would eat typically in an entire week, Monday through Sunday, and go through all the meals step by step. So I collected a bunch of clips that truly represents the way that I eat to optimize my fitness and make some gains. So this video is filled up with plant-based recipes and amazing food for you guys to try out on your journey. I hope you guys enjoy it, and if you do, don't forget to click the subscribe button and notification bell, because this channel is all about finding true health and fitness and progressing towards a better you. So make sure to hit that subscribe button and let's get started. Time for the first meal of the day. This will consist of 117 grams of avocado sushi, 400 grams of potatoes, 220 grams of onion, 250 grams of broccoli, 200 grams of mushrooms, some buffalo sauce, 205 grams of tofu, and 300 grams of these weird low-calorie noodles. So I stir fry all the veggies together while the potatoes are microwaving. Then I chop up the tofu into small pieces and throw it on top of the frying pan along with the rest of the veggies. I then throw on the noodles on top and just heat it up for a few minutes. By that time, the potatoes should be done, so I just slice them open, throw some black pepper on there, and 20 grams of buffalo sauce, followed by 20 more grams of ketchup. Alright, so time for feast number 2. This is going to be consisting of pinto beans, whole grain bread, tomato, a burger, some vegan cheese, ketchup, and some chocolate corn cakes. So first I take one slice of whole grain bread and throw a burger on top. Then I sprinkle 10 grams of vegan cheese on it and insert the whole thing in the oven. In the meantime, I heat up the pinto beans with a little bit of chopped tomatoes. When the toast and the burger are done, I proceed to place 2 slices of fresh tomatoes on top, along with 15 grams of ketchup, 5 grams of mustard, and some lettuce leaves. And then I decided to just finish off with some buffalo sauce on there too. We're not done yet. 150 grams of mixed frozen berries with 200 grams of frozen mangoes. This will be a berry cereal, so I'm using 300 milliliters of coconut rice milk, along with my favorite protein powder in the world, the Vivo Life Perform salted macro caramel protein. I use 50 grams of powder and poured it on top of the berries and the fruit. This is one of my favorite meals. I really encourage you to try it out, and try out this protein if you haven't already, because it's the healthiest on the market. I'm gonna have 2 plums and also one of these peaches, and I'm gonna chop up some carrots. So here you go, this is it. Best feeling in the world when you find out that the fruit you bought is perfect. It's now time for the post-workout meal, which is going to be a smoothie bowl. I add some water, then 300 grams of mixed berries. Then I added an extra 150 grams of blueberries, also frozen. Then 2 scoops of the Vivo Life Perform protein powder, salted macro caramel. Then I added some basil leaves, just to give a little bit of a different flavor. Then I added 1 banana and just mixed the whole thing up. So as you can see, it came out super runny, and that was the reason why I decided to add a bunch of chia seeds. So I added 150 grams of chia, which is a lot, and that will help it thicken up, so it ends up having a pudding consistency. Then I added 300 grams of frozen mango as well. Mix the whole thing up and then put it in the fridge for about 10 to 15 minutes. When it got out, you can see this a lot thicker, and to top it off, I had a naked bar laying around, so I just divided it into small pieces, threw it on top of the smoothie bowl, and sprinkled some hemp seeds on top. Moving on to dinner, Catherine prepared the ingredients to make a burrito bowl. So we got some tomatoes here, got some chopped up red bell pepper, taco salsa, 300 grams of cooked brown rice, 200 grams of firm tofu marinated in teriyaki sauce and tahini and just baked in the oven. Then we got 100 grams of sweet potato, also baked in the oven, and 300 grams of cooked pinto beans, refried with a little bit of tomato inside. Once again, not fried in oil, just water, and 200 grams of broccoli. All these ingredients put together inside a bowl just makes this amazing burrito bowl. One of my favorite dishes by far. Now it's time for the second meal of the day, which is going to be a huge salad, and the ingredients that are going into the salad are some cucumber, some fresh basil, which will give a lot of taste. If you haven't tried herbs in your salad, you have to. Got some asparagus, tomato, red pepper, and most importantly some fruits, which are gonna be apple and orange. Seriously, adding fruits to your salads is gonna be game changing. And then I'm also gonna be having some firm tofu that is just laying around marinating in some liquid aminos. And then for some extra protein, I'm gonna be having 100 grams of these sprouted lentils. So as you can tell, Catherine is the one preparing the meal right now. My hands are feminine, but not that feminine. She is an amazing cook. So to fry the tofu, we didn't use any water or oil. We just used the liquid aminos and heated it up for a couple of minutes. And then Catherine started preparing the dressing, which consists of 1 tablespoon of tahini, some coconut syrup, some lemon juice, and a little bit of tamari along with some water. And then you just stir it up until you get the right consistency. Time to show you guys my first meal of the day, the post-workout smoothie. Let's go. So the post-workout smoothie, I always add water at the bottom of the blender first to prevent all the rest of the ingredients sticking to the bottom and causing a mess. And of course, it helps with saving calories instead of using other types of milks. Then for post-workout muscle recovery, I add 2 scoops of the Vivo Life salted maca caramel protein, my favorite, which contains loads of BCAAs, maca, which aids with hormonal balance, and this protein in particular also includes digestive enzymes and turmeric to help prevent inflammation. Next up, we got 3 bananas thrown in there. Bananas are a great source of magnesium, potassium, and B6. Then I added a bunch of frozen mixed berries, which has a ton of vitamins and antioxidants. Antioxidants basically protect your cells against the effects of free radicals. Then I throw in a good amount of frozen spinach in there, and then I added a little bit of PB2, which gives a little bit of extra protein. Blend the whole thing together. This time I added a little bit too much water, so it's a little bit more runny than usual. So the ingredients I'm using for this meal are pinto beans, which are very high in protein, iron, magnesium, and potassium. In fact, way more potassium than bananas. Then we have some cooked buckwheat here, which is a great source of magnesium, copper, and manganese. A little bit of cooked mushrooms in there as well. When consumed in high volumes, it gives you a good protein boost. Contains a lot of phosphorus, selenium, and copper too. Then we got some alfalfa sprouts. Not a huge amount of benefits, but I always like including something raw and fresh and crunchy to my meals. Then we have fermented tofu, which is really high in protein, one of my go-to sources of protein. Then we got some spinach, which is very high in vitamin A and C. It also has a decent amount of protein. And then hemp seeds, one of my favorite foods of all time. It has a full amino acid profile. It's got tons of iron, magnesium, zinc, and a great omega-3 profile. So I throw the beans in a pan with the buckwheat and the spinach and cook it for a little while. Add a little bit of hot sauce, and then I throw in some turmeric in there as well. And along with the turmeric, you always have to remember to add some black pepper in order to absorb the turmeric way better and get all the benefits. Pour everything into a plate, and then I add the fermented tofu to the plate as well. And then I sprinkle the hemp seeds on top of the sprouts and add some extra hot sauce. Now I also squeeze some lemon juice to help absorb the iron from the beans a little easier. It's time for the last meal of the day, which will consist of a lot of oatmeal, which is really high in zinc, iron, magnesium, potassium, copper, and folate. Loads of good stuff in here. I also added another scoop of the Vivo Life protein powder because I like the taste of it, and added a good amount of almond milk as well, which most of the time is fortified with calcium, vitamin D, and B12. I also added a little bit more water just to save the amount amount of almond milk that you have to use in order to get the right consistency. I also poured in a little bit too much cacao in there, but whatever. It boosts your serotonin, makes you feel good. It's got flavonols, so antioxidants in there as well. On top of the whole thing, I'm gonna add some fruit. So I have some honeydew melon here, high in vitamin C and potassium. Pretty much every single fruit you can find is really high in all kinds of vitamins. I also added a little bit more of the mixed berries in there, poured all the melon on top, and since the pineapples are in season here and they're super sweet and nice, I decided to add 200 grams to that as well, and finished off by sprinkling some Ceylon cinnamon on top of it. It's time to prepare the last meal of the day, and it's gonna be a berry cereal. So I just mash up one banana, add a scoop of the Viva Life protein powder, and then I add about 60 grams of oatmeal, mix it all together, and then I threw in a bunch of frozen berries and frozen blueberries, 300 grams of that, and then I didn't have any almond milk left or any other milk, so I just poured in water, and it worked out fine. And I just topped it up with some healthy fats, some pumpkin seeds, and the taste was amazing.
Big booty bitches used to sell crack so I could stack my riches. Now I pack gats to stop all the snitches from staying in my business. What is this? Relentless approach to know if I'm broke or not. Just cause I joke and smoke a lot don't mean I don't tote the Glock. 16 shots for my niggas in the pen until we motherfucking meet again. I'm doing rhymes now, fuck the crimes now. Come on the Ave, I'm real hard to find now, cause I'm knee deep in the beat. In the Land Cruiser Jeep with the Mac 10 by the seats. For the jackers, the jealous ass crackers in the blue suits, I make you prove that it's bulletproof. Hold your head, cause when you hit the bricks, I got gin, mad blunts, and bitches sucking. The place where my head rests, 50 shot clip if a nigga want test. The rocket launcher, Biggie stomped ya, high as a motherfucking helicopter. That's why I pack a Nina, fuck a misdemeanor. Beating motherfuckers like Ike beat Tina. What's love got to do when I'm ripping all through your whole crew? Strapped like bamboo, but I don't sling guns. I got bags of funk and it's selling by the tons. Niggas wanna know how I live the Mac life, making money smoking mics like crack pipes. It's type simple and
I'm about to head inside right now and prepare the first meal of the day, which is gonna be some buckwheat. So buckwheat is definitely one of my favorite staples in my diet. And buckwheat is actually not a grain, it's technically a seed. But unlike other seeds, buckwheat is very low in fat, so it's a lot more calorie and macro friendly. And it tastes really good. It's a great alternative to oatmeal. I would consume it as much as oatmeal if it was as quick to make. But buckwheat takes a lot longer to cook, and you can reduce the cooking time by soaking it overnight. And that is what I did. Also, soaking gets rid of phytic acid and other anti-nutrients that a lot of people are worried about. Myself, I'm not worried about that too much. So buckwheat is an extremely good source of fiber. It has tons of minerals like manganese and magnesium. and it's very high in protein. It actually contains 12 amino acids, which is a very good score, and it's been shown to be very beneficial for your cardiovascular health because of the antioxidant called rutin, which is a potent anti-inflammatory flavonoid that promotes good blood circulation. So I cooked the buckwheat in water on low heat for about 25 minutes until the water disappears, and this is how it looks like when the water is evaporated. And once that is done cooking, I add 1 banana to a bowl, and you already know what I do with the bananas. I mash it up. This is key, and it works well with all kinds of grains. I always do it with oatmeal, as you guys know, and it also works just as well with buckwheat to make it a lot sweeter. So after mashing up the banana, I add the buckwheat in there, mix the banana in with the buckwheat, and then I add a lot of frozen mixed berries, which has a ton of vitamins, so you can never get enough of those in. And then I mix those berries up with the buckwheat again, and to spice it up a little bit more, I add some raisins and finally some desiccated coconut on top. Raisins and desiccated coconut really enhances the flavor of this meal. It makes it super indulgent and tasty. So I also topped it up with some apples and some unsweetened almond milk just to make it more enjoyable to consume. I think you guys should really try this meal out. You guys will love it. So what we're gonna do is prepare a bean spread, just homemade, and this is something that I recommend everyone to do to increase your protein intake in general. So we're gonna be mashing these up into a spread. So we use 1 can of pinto beans. I find that pinto beans are the best tasting beans, especially for making spreads. And then we have some tomato puree right here. And then we have some cumin, which is also a great source of iron. And it's very tasty as well. We got some paprika, and then some black pepper, some garlic powder, and some onion powder, and a little bit of lemon juice in there as well. Right, so those are all the ingredients and spices mixed up together. Just add a tiny little splash of water. And then we're gonna be using this hand mixer right here because it's very efficient and very easy. Look at that. Right, so I'm gonna have 2 pieces of bread. And since the bread is homemade, it's also full of healthy ingredients.
It's whole grain as well.
Yeah, whole grain bread. A bunch of beans on top. And then also what I love putting on top is some pickles and some pickled beetroot. Okay, so that's it. I hope you guys got a lot of value out of this video. It really made me hungry making this one because there's so many amazing meals in there. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know which recipe you enjoyed the most. Let me know if you enjoyed this video and what you want to see next. That's really important. Leave your comments below. I answer all of them. Thank you for the support, and I'll see you very soon. Peace out.